I could have heard Cheryl say, "Alex, I'll take polkas for 500." I mean, they were going at it, and it was amazing. I just kind of watched. In recent years, my dad enjoyed America's Got Talent, Dancing with the Stars, and The Good Wife. I always had to get him home before The Good Wife started. Really, Dad? The Good Wife? Okay. Languages. My dad spoke fluent German, English, and Spanish. While others clearly heard his accent when he spoke English, I was so used to it I barely heard it. His Spanish was great, and if you told someone he was from South America just to mess with them, he was never challenged about it. He could read Hebrew faster than anyone I knew, but he wasn't conversational with it. He knew many, if not most, of the catchy Yiddish words and phrases, and I'm going to miss those the most. My dad wasn't much of a book reader, but he did look forward to receiving his daily newspaper. And as Pastor Brown said, the Daily Racing Form was probably his favorite read. He loved going to the racetrack. We live in Hawthorne, and we're next door to Hollywood Park in Inglewood. It lent itself to a lot of racing days. Occasionally, he would pull me out of school to take me to the track. Yeah, it's cool. Sure. Let's go. Of course, I picked up tickets at the track from the floor because I couldn't bet, and he did his thing. But he cared enough to let's go. Our annual ritual was a trip to the racetrack on Washington's birthday. Win or lose, on the way home, we would always stop at Kentucky Fried Chicken. It wasn't KFC at the time. He'd buy the family pack meal and the promotional cherry pie sold on that day, year after year. As Pastor Brown mentioned, my dad played excellent piano by ear, and if there was ever a piano in his sight, you might get the treat of hearing something contemporary or traditional played in the Herman Berger style. And if you witnessed it, you heard it, and you know his style. I was always amazed by his ability to sit down, think through a song, and then go for it. Food. My dad was the luckiest man on the planet because he lived with the best cook on the planet. She was amazing. When my mom passed away, that left a huge hole in his heart and his palate. He always appreciated a home-cooked meal, and I'm happy to say that Cheryl was able to accommodate his food requests from time to time. My dad had one major food vice. He was a sweetaholic. He loved pastries, cakes, pies, chocolate everything, ice cream, candies, marzipan, and there were sometimes 2 boxes of these candies around. The box he would share with you, and the box he wouldn't share with you. It was usually hiding. This is what I'll share it. My dad loved fruitcake. He loved fruitcake. And always ordered it around the holiday season. One time, he came home to find that ants had infested his beloved fruitcake, and it was bad. They were all over his fruitcake. Not to be outdone by any little ants, he stuck the fruitcake in the fridge, ants and all, and just waited for them to die. Then he ate them and the fruitcake. It's my dad. It's okay. You didn't want to buy another one, it costs more money. But it's my dad, it's all him. It's all him, it's who he was. As Pastor Brown said, he was a Lakers fan. He never missed a game on TV. The rest of the family had flipped their primary allegiance to the Clippers when Julio and I became Clippers season ticket holders a few years back. Although my dad learned to accept that the Clippers were a big deal in the family, and he watched their games too, he maintained his die-hard Lakers allegiance to the very end. I know some of you were happy about that. Recently, I had sold my seats for the Lakers-Clippers game so I could be with him to watch it in his room. I knew he wasn't able to watch or pay attention to the TV at this point, but I knew the game playing in the background was therapeutic. He was still able to muster a word or two, and I asked him, who would win the game tonight, Dad, Clippers or Lakers? And much to his chagrin, he whispered, Clippers. You see, he loved the Lakers, but it was more important for him to pick the winner of the game so he could say after it was over, I told you so. It was always that way. I continued talking about the Clippers, then the Lakers, and then finally Golden State. And his eyes were closed. It was kind of a little bit of a lull. And he whispered, San Antonio. I couldn't believe it. This was just a few days before he passed, and he was asking me for my San Antonio scouting report, and I obliged. Anyway, the Lakers-Clipper game started, and at every break, I would tell him the score in his ear. I don't recall much of a reaction to the final score, but that wasn't important. The time with him is what mattered most. Like most Lakers fans, my dad had suffered much over their season this year. Unfortunately, he passed before he could see their final game in Kobe's Magic on that day. He would have been ecstatic about it. I can only hope that some angel relayed the news to him. Spiritually, my dad believed in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob to the very end. It was consistent. He was consistent in attending high holiday service until his eyesight started to fail him about 10 years ago. And as you can see from that picture in front that Pastor Brown alluded to, he actually did cancer a few different places when he first arrived to the States. And I know he took pride in that. In his last few years, his spiritual life was rejuvenated to some degree. He not only attended some of the services at Pastor Brown's congregation, but he appeared more open to a conversation about his spiritual well-being. He was looking forward to that Passover Seder. We were ready to go. It didn't happen, but he did get to go last year, and it was truly a blessing for him, enough so that he wanted to go back and enjoy more food and fellowship. What I will miss most about my father. I'll miss your smirks, your clever sarcasm, and your sense of humor. Like when I asked you how you felt a few days before you passed, and you made that face as if to say, "Are you kidding me, Rick?" And then in classic Herman Berger fashion, you answered my question with one whisper, "Fantastic." I'll miss picking you up for games to watch and drive you home after, and the talks we had in both directions. I'll miss you reminding me about things that I actually did forget. I'll miss your persistence. It was all right to call me every couple of hours at work to see if I heard something new about whatever it was that wasn't taking place for 2 weeks. It was okay. I'll miss your asking me the same question over and over again as if the truth was hiding in my third response. I'll miss that you loved me unconditionally. I'll miss that you always showed concern for my health. I'll miss you being my security blanket, the rock that you always were for this family. What was Dad, or what Dad was? Our dad was a loving and devoted husband and father, and he expressed that more by his actions as a provider than by his words. While it would have been nice to hear him say the words, "I love you," while I was growing up, I never doubted that he loved me. Our dad worked 10-hour days, 6 days a week, a 7th day during the holiday season. He put that time into his job so that we would never be in want of food, shelter, or clothing. He saw that as fulfilling his primary responsibility to the family unit, while keeping the house clean, cooking of meals, and the nurturing of the children was on the shoulders of our own mother. On balance, the needs of my brother, sister, and I were met by our parents. They're both gone now, and it will take time to adjust to that reality. Flashing forward to the last 7 years of my dad's life, the years after the passing of our mom, I don't think my dad was given a chance to be unemotional with his children anymore. He was always greeted and said goodnight to with a hug and a kiss, and over time the collective number of I love yous increased. By the time last Saturday night rolled around, when we said our final goodbyes, we had already been in full I love you mode with Dad for quite some time. He had seemed quite comfortable in saying those words back to us. And I'm at peace, knowing that in the end there was nothing but unconditional love between him and his children. In closing, I want to say thank you to my sister Sylvia. She made the daily evening calls to Dad. And every other week she visited him for many years. Your consistency helped set the tone for our consistency in interacting with Dad. I can't tell you how many times I was with him when you would call, and he'd look at me and he'd say, "It's Sylvia." And then pick up the phone with a confidence that comes with knowing that the person on the other end cares about you. I want to say thank you to Cheryl. You were truly my dad's go-to person. He came to rely on you a great deal, and you embraced being there for him. You showed him love, and you honored him as your own father. And I saw him love you back. Dad was always protective of his heart. He was a tough guy to reach that way, but you reached him. Towards the end of his life, I saw him extend his arms to you, appreciative of everything you were to him. And you got right in there, and you stared him right in his face and said, "I love you, Dad," over and over. I'm not sure if he was able to say it back at that point, but his reaching out to you said it all. I'm done, Dad. I hope he made you proud. Tell Mom we said hello. We'll see you soon, Dad, and I love you.
Wow, Rick, that was wonderful. Your dad is proud. It was a wonderful memorial about your dad. And actually, I can relate to that because my father was a jeweler also. So I grew up in that business. So, firsthand. Well, we're going to have a slideshow, as he said, that was put together. And I'm sure you're going to be blessed, just like I remember the one at Lenore's funeral. So let's have that at this time.